The second example I have about livestock and technical design of llamas is in Ecuador, and this is a project that we are conducting there with Jeff. So the objective of this project, Livestock in Ecuador, is about improving natural resource use efficiency and carbon sequestration. So both aspects that we mentioned before. It relies on the capacity development for adopting better practices to reverse land degradation and to reduce desertification risk. And this is through a better grassland management again. It also aims at increasing access to markets and diversification in production. And it targets currently 280 small livestock keepers and more than 35,000 hectares of pastures. And the expected results are actually very ambitious. Greenhouse gas emission intensity are planned to, could be decreased by 30% per kilogram of milk and 50% per kilogram of meat. We could achieve through this project a sequestration of 4 to 5 tons of carbon dioxide per hectare of pastures. Then the project is also seeking at developing financial support for the investment that would be needed for more than 350 producers. So it is estimated that more producers in the long term would engage in the project. And last point, the project would probably the project aims actually at developing capacity also at institutional level among the ministries and the extension services. And this would probably also lead to the implementation, or at least the development in the first stage, of livestock NAMA in Ecuador. This is what is currently being discussed with the ministries and the extension services. And the last example, before the conclusion, is the potential of carbon crediting for restoring degraded grazing systems in China. And this is a project that was led by FAO together within the Animal Production and Health Division and also other colleagues from other divisions. So the rationale, rangelands have a high technical potential for carbon sequestration. Rangelands are considered to cover 26% of the emerged land in the world. So a large sequestration potential through an improved management of rangelands. Emissions offset from animals and other sectors, not only from livestock production but also energy or any other sector, could actually generate carbon credits for livestock keepers. And this is now limited to voluntary schemes. There are also synergies between improving grassland management and carbon sequestration. First, with adaptation to productivity gains, as we illustrated in Zambia and in Ecuador also, but also water management, diversification of production. There are also synergies with food security and rural development, since it can result in higher productivity in the systems. We also can achieve reduced methane emissions through higher feed digestibility and improved composition of the grassland mix. And also synergies with water management, water quality and biodiversity. A few limitations though, or let's say barriers to achieve an improved grassland management. And carbon sequestration to improve grassland management. First, the economic and institutional potential is considered to be lower than the technical potential, only because in some cases the initial investments, for example, for fencing or reseeding, can be a limitation without any external support. There is also an institutional barrier that is linked to the land tenure system that we already mentioned for Zambia. In some cases, common lands are, in most regions actually, shared common grazing lands are managed at the community level, and improving the management of those shared grazing areas requires the involvement of the whole community and of the different stakeholders. Then there is also a question of saturation, because only a finite amount of carbon can be sequestrated. And Heather already mentioned the question of permanence. The sequestration lasts as long as the improved practices are continued. So the issue very quickly here is simple. Population increase, and that leads to more animal, more production, so overgrazing in some areas. That overgrazing results in land degradation that could be actually aggravated by climate change. So reduced livestock productivity results from land degradation. And as a result, farmers tend to increase the animal numbers to compensate the productivity decrease, which leads to another, an additional pressure on the grassland and again overgrazing. So the idea, the project is to break this vicious circle and reintroduce better grazing management practices. So the activities in this project are first tailored measure to restore grassland. In some places it would be an adjustment of the timing of grazing, a seasonal grazing rather than a continuous one, or the cultivation of high yield grass and sometimes the stalking of animal. It also, the activities also comprise technical intervention to improve animal husbandry through better feeding through better grassland, but also in some cases extra feeding or better housing. And there is also a dimension in this project to create livestock product market association to increase market access for livestock keepers. So this project actually resulted in the certification of the methodology for carbon sequestration in grassland, and this methodology was validated, was certified by the VCS standard, and it is now available to be used in other regions and in other contexts. So to conclude, in various systems and regions, NAMAs should reduce emissions from livestock, but also reduce the vulnerability of livestock keepers to climate change and support the achievement of national development goals through an increased productivity, for example, and better food security. The mitigation potential in livestock is large, and improved practices often lead to productivity gains, as was modeled in Zambia and for Ecuador, for example. Livestock system analysis and modeling can support the design of NAMAs. That was the point of this presentation. Certified methodologies can contribute to the measurement, reporting and verification needs that were presented by Heather. Thank you very much.